uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a happy hump day edition of the Sports Web. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show as we always do here on a Monday and Wednesday night, or when there's any breaking news? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have JC Allen of Pewter Report giving you the latest Tampa Bay Buccaneer rumors and news out there because it is combine season, so we'll see what's going on with that. Leonard Fournette looks like he's good night and goodbye. Donovan Smith looks like he's gone. Who else is gone? Who would you like to see gone? What do you think of these latest rumors of Leonard Fournette and Donovan Smith? And I get it, please, enough with the cap, the cap, the cap. I feel like saying the plane, because that's all you hear this offseason. If I have to hear about the cap, I'm basically going to wish that I was deaf, honestly. But the phone lines are open. I get it. The Bucs are in cap hell, so there's no calls for a return, right? No point of return at this juncture. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, new number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Of course, you got Jason Light talking about Kyle Trask. And then you got Todd Bowles saying something completely different. That's why I said I'm not buying it. I'm going to give it a chance, but I'm not buying it. Hook, line, and sinker, if you will. Are you buying it? Who do you want to see them go after and get a quarterback? There's no wrong answers on this show. I don't care what anybody tells you. On this show, you can speculate. That's what you can do. It's speculation season. I told you that. Who would you like to see the Bucs draft at 19? What's the latest rumors about who the Bucs would be interested in? Well, ask and you shall receive. Let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Peter Blake? This is Eric from Tampa. This is Eric.
What's going on, Eric? What do you have to say tonight? Welcome to the Sports Web.
It's a lot of stuff, man. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
It is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Man, it's open season. Yes.
Yeah, I heard we're drafting the quarterback, or I heard about like an AR-15. I saw, did you see that thing Bryce Young had a Bucs bag today? Could that mean something?
Well, yeah, again, that's some speculation there in care of Greg Auman of Fox Sports there. They had a video out there with Bryce Young with none other than a Buccaneer bag.
He has the uniform ready to go?
I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go at this juncture. I mean, all signs point to him going number 1 overall. But I'll throw this out at you, Eric.
Hey,
you remember this. Hold on. You remember this a long time ago, right? Remember Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith? And Alex Smith was supposedly going to be, or excuse me, it was Aaron Rodgers. And then all of a sudden, Alex Smith is the number 1 pick overall. So is there a possibility of a team falling in love with another quarterback prospect? Absolutely. Are there questions about Young and his size? Absolutely there is. He was holding a Bucs bag today. Yes.
But do you think Jalen Carter from Georgia Tech defensive tackle, you compared him with the next elite do you think he'll fall to 19?
We'll talk about that, but there's a latest mock draft out there, CBS Sports Line, and they have him actually going to number 17 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get into more of that. Yes, we'll get into more of that a little bit later.
If he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, that means he goes 19? Wow. But I don't want a troublemaker. That's the thing. I don't know, man. Will be like this next Warren Sapp? Oh, Lordy.
Well, Warren Sapp turned out pretty well, but you're exactly right. We'll definitely get into that a little bit later. That's right.
I'm going to get one more thing, man.
Okay.
Derek Carr's not coming to the damn Bucs.
Jalen Carter's not going to the Bucs. Okay. Well, you're probably right. You're probably right about that, and we'll get into.
Derek Carr.
Oh, Derek Carr's not going to the Bucs. Why do you say that?
Man, that's just rumors, man. I don't believe in rumors. Man, how can we get him with no money? Oh,
I mean,
hey,
there's.
let me guess.
Go ahead.
Are we gonna push a can down the road?
You can do that. You can make contracts to where they look different in the next couple years here. It doesn't necessarily have to be all up front, if you will. It could be backloaded. You can also sit here and say that it's all about money when it comes to Derek Carr, but how do you know it's all about money with Carr? I mean, everybody just assumes maybe it's not just about money. Maybe it's about fit, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Yes.
But that was last minute Bucs thing. I didn't know he was. I guess the Bucs got in the running. I guess the Bucs have some interest in Carr.
I think there's definitely some interest.
We might as well trade for. We might as well
trade for Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have Aaron Rodgers traded there on the comp.
I said Lamar Jackson.
That's going to take at least 3 first-round picks, and
I'll do it.
I know you would, but I don't know if the Bucs are willing to do it, and I don't know if the Ravens are willing to do it at this point.
If you're GM, I would do it. Call the Ravens right now.
I think there's a lot of GMs and a lot of fans out there that like to see Lamar Jackson in the Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform.
Do you believe that with Bucs the favorite 750 according to earlier in the offseason, we're the favorites to land Lamar Jackson?
I think a lot of people would assume that because he is from Florida and because the Bucs need a quarterback at this point, and not a lot of pundits out there are necessarily buying on a Kyle Trask. Good stuff, Eric. Appreciate the call. I got to run here, my friend.
Yes. General manager and coaches love Kyle Trask. Everybody loves Kyle Trask. Or is this just a smoke screen? What's door number 2?
All right, so you're saying a smoke screen then?
You think so? One coach says they love Trask. GM says he doesn't like Trask. Who likes Trask and who don't like Trask? What do you think?
Well, he's the only quarterback on the roster right now, but you know what I think. He only has 9 throws in the National Football League. He's never started a full game. And right now, I don't think this team is ready to go and put the reins into a rookie quarterback at the end of the day. Eric, appreciate the call. Use that second call. Yes.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, good stuff there. Let me give that call back because we got J.C. Allen of a Pewter Report coming on and make some sense of these quarterback rumors, everything else. I got to start with this because this is kind of fun. This was thrown out there. Bryce Young walking in the combine there, and what does he have in his hand? A Buccaneer bag. Come on, speculate a little bit, J.C. Allen of Pewter Report. Welcome to the Evolution.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of wishful thinking maybe by some Bucs fans. He's not going to fall to the Bucs at 19. I don't envision them trading up for it, but it was fun, definitely fun to see. What team in the pros he roots for now. That will change as soon as he gets drafted, though.
Well, and again, there's some question marks about his size, and I just never rule it out. I mean, you hear young, and then you hear Richardson, and then another day you hear Will Levi. So is there an opportunity for him to drop? I never rule it out because sometimes those guys are not all right about everything when it comes to predicting where a quarterback goes. I always go back to the Alex Smith, Aaron Rodgers situation, but I thought it was kind of funny. With that being said, let's talk about the quarterback that's on this roster. Jason Light had plenty to say about Kyle Trask yesterday with the combine presser. Yeah, we're very excited about Kyle. We're very excited about him getting the opportunity to be a starter. We've been very comfortable with that. We're excited. I used that word already, but I really am for him to get a chance to be with the starters in the offseason, starters in training camp, starters in preseason, which he's never done. He was a successful quarterback in the SEC. I mean, wildly successful. We took him in the second round for a reason. We didn't take him in the second round just to be a third-string quarterback. Now it is yet to be seen what he turns out to be, but we're confident that he's going to be very good. Your thoughts on Jason Light and basically a ringing endorsement for Kyle Trask to be the next starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2023?
Right, yeah, and as much as I believe in some of that, I think you also have to think about it too. They're not going to come out here and bash Kyle Trask and kill his confidence before camp even starts. They're going to talk this guy up, whether that's a smoke screen, as the caller said, and in case there's another move on the horizon. Obviously, there's no downside of talking up Kyle Trask at this point in the season. So I think they really do like him. I think if he would have came out last year in that draft with Kenny Pickett, Ritter, and all them, I think he would have been the first quarterback off the board. I think when you're a team like the Bucs, especially that season where injuries, hindsight 2020, yeah, you might have could use depth at this position or that position. That's when you want to be able to draft a quarterback and burn one of those luxury picks on a quarterback. Teams have done it throughout all of football. The Patriots obviously have done it pretty well. You saw Kirk Cousins was drafted in the 4th round after they drafted RG3 in the 1st.
Sure.
So, it's always good practice for NFL teams to develop quarterbacks. And, when they drafted him, we knew his limitations, but the biggest thing the Bucs endorsed was, he checks up from the neck up, which means he's got all the tools upstairs. He's got the smarts, he's got the decision-making for the position. We haven't seen Kyle Trask really, and even in that mop-up duty where he had those few snaps again in the blowout against the Falcons last season, he was dealing with backups there, backup linemen, backup receivers. We haven't seen what he can do with top-tier weapons like he had in Florida, and a Kadarius Toney and a Kyle Pitts, and a Dameon Pierce for that matter. So getting a chance to see what he can do with the number ones is going to be very telling. There were reports out there. Clyde Christensen went on record saying he's a very deliberate learner. Whether you take that to be a slow learner, or someone who just wants to make sure he has it 100% before he goes out there. Maybe doesn't get it on the first go around, but that second, third, he's really. I compared to someone who can just pick up a guitar and hear a song and play the song back to you versus the person who can read music, and then the person who needs the guitar tabs. Trask doesn't seem like he's the type of guy who can he has an ear for the music and pick up the guitar and play. So he's learning a new system, but the biggest thing is if he paid attention, Tom Brady still takes notes every day. He's learned from one of the best, and the Bucs drafted him that high for a reason. They wanted him to sit and learn behind Tom Brady, work with some of the best quarterbacks coaches in Clyde Christensen and Bruce Arians, and really pick up everything and become a sponge. That first year was really introducing him to the pro game, changing the way he takes his dropbacks, changing the way he reads defenses. Last year, there were, you saw that some noted improvement in training camp. He had some ups and downs. Again, still working with 13 receivers. And, this year we'll see what step he makes. But he's not going to be the only quarterback in the roster. That's for sure. They're going to go out there and they're going to add to this room. And whether that's the draft, free agency, or a combination of both remains to be seen.
We're going to get back to that in a moment. We're on with JC Allen up, Pewter Report. Now, Todd Bowles had something completely different that he said. I didn't say he can be number one yet. I said he can compete. I see the work ethic. I see the toughness. I see the willingness to get better every day. It's hard to get reps when you have a guy like Tom Brady in front of you that's playing all the time. So I'll have the opportunity to compete to become number one, and that's all you can ask for in this league. With that being said, that kind of leads me to believe that maybe this organization isn't – I get it. I understand where Jason Light's coming from, and he has to say it because maybe it is a smokescreen. Maybe they are looking at a quarterback or two, a veteran or somebody they want to draft. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. And to put a rookie quarterback, and I get it, he's had, some snaps, 9 throws, but to put a rookie quarterback doesn't really seem like a recipe for success with Todd Bowles' job on the line.
Yeah, see, that's something that I'm not necessarily 1,000% sure Todd Bowles is actually on the hot seat.
Wow. Okay.
I think if you look at last season, he got, the reins turned over to him late, wasn't able to build the team he want, perhaps bringing guys that he might want on set of free agency. I think, not being able to develop your staff. And then obviously there was a bit of contention between the coaching staff. And things didn't go well. That's been widely reported, and obviously with Byron's release, kind of accurately depicted. But I think Bowles heading into that year, he had certain handicaps, and I think if you look at this year, Brady decided to come back, and then it was all right. Push the chips forward. We're all in, and now this next year, he's dealing with a $55 million cap. It still can't build the team that he wants to build. He's going to have to do it through, as Jason Light said, value signings and draft picks, and he's going to need immediate starters out of there. And his defense, his bread and butter, which he's made his name, is giant holes. You're missing, you're losing potentially 3 of your 4 safeties. You're losing potentially 2 of your top 3, really, if you count D. Delaney. If they don't tender him, you're losing 3 of your five cornerbacks, 2 of them starters. One of them had to play starter at safety and cornerback this season due to injuries. In D. Delaney, you might be losing your middle linebacker in Levante David. You might be you're losing several defensive linemen. As of now, you only have 2 on the roster, which is Logan Hall and Vita Vea, but Akeem Hicks, Nacho, Pat O'Connor, Dedrin Sanat, all these guys are free agents. You have no depth at outside linebacker right now with Nassib Avery and Nelson all scheduled to hit free agency. Your best pass rusher on the team is coming off an Achilles tear. Your young pass rusher that you invested a first round draft pick didn't really live up to the hype last season. Pressures were there, sacks or not. He had more missed sacks than he did have sacks. We're hoping, as you hope that with the addition of George Edwards as an outside linebacker coach, that can kind of help him turn around and really kind of live up to his potential. But there's so many holes on that defense for Todd Bowles, and he's got nothing to work with. To wrap that back around, plus the quarterback situation, not being able to adequately address it. I think this year might be one of those years where they look at it, if they have, unless they just tank and fall apart this year, even if they have a bad grade, I think the Glazers may look at it and say, he deserves another shot at this when we have cap space, when he can build the team he wants after 2 straight seasons of not being able to do that. He got his coaching staff in place this season. Next year, I think they'll give him another opportunity, winning season, losing season, to put his personnel in and then see what he can do that 3rd year. Remember, they gave him a 5-year contract. So
Right.
they have no incentive to let this coach that they think the world of, that they made the highest paid defensive coordinator after the Super Bowl, that they decided was going to be the succession plan of Bruce Arians, to not give him at least 100%, not 100%, but you know what I'm saying, a really fair shake at putting his own stamp on this team via coaching staff and roster changes and stuff like that. So I don't know if he's on the hot seat. Going back to the original question, it's the same thing. Ron Rivera came out and was misquoted as saying, Sam Howell's our starting quarterback. He's the only quarterback on the roster for them right now. Same thing with the Buccaneers, right? Kyle Trask is the only guy. He's the de facto starter. If we're building a depth chart right now, he's the starter right there, but he's not going to be handed anything. He's a young guy, just like Sam Howell's a young guy, and they're going to bring, both of those teams are going to bring in veterans. If depending on what level they're at, whether Commanders try to bring in a starter type guy or a guy to compete. Same thing with the Bucs. Those both in both of those situations, they're not just going to say you're the starter no matter what. We're not even in free agency yet. There's an ability for this team to somehow make a move cap wise and be able to compete at a higher level, then they'll do it.
Let me ask you about the cap. Do you think they were caught off guard by Brady retiring first and foremost, and then Adam Schefter reported this, or Ian Rappaport reported this, saying that he was signing his papers, so they were going to take the full brunt of the $35 million cap hit. Do you think the Bucs were caught off guard? Do you think they believed that he was going to come back? And why not spread out that cap hit for this year, unless they were looking to tank and looking not to compete? And like you said, maybe Todd Bowles isn't on the hot seat at the end of the day.
I think with Brady, after every season, you're expecting him to walk away. You're not expecting him to come back, especially when his contract expires at the end. As far as taking that $35 million brunt, I think it's just that. Okay, we have $85 million in cap next season available. That's going to be hit with restructures, resignings, and draft picks. They might end up somewhere around like 45 million, $35 million in cap space next year to spend, that they can make some improvements on this team. Bite the bullet this year, take that big cap hit. You look at the landscape, you still think you can win the NFC South no matter what one of these teams does, even with a quarterback. You think you have the talent, and you think you can assemble a team around Trask or a veteran quarterback that can lift the team to at least a division title. And that's obviously the main goal is the Super Bowl, but division title for this team next year would be a win in a lot of people's books. So you still think you have a team like that. Bite the bullet this year, assemble the team, see what you got in Kyle Trask. And if you have something to move forward with, great. You don't need to spend capital at that position. You got a quarterback with 1 year left on his rookie deal, and you can move on from there. If not, then now they have cap space to spend next year. So,
all right, I got to talk about this because there was a Derek Carr rumor. It's been floated out there that the Bucs are there, of course, in Indianapolis. He's talking to various teams there: the Saints, the Jets, the Colts, the Carolina Panthers. And then it said, possibly he could be talking to the Bucs, or the Bucs may talk to him. Now, this is from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network yesterday. He says Derek Carr has not had any substantial discussions about price or value with any of these teams. It has been all about fit. That's the most important thing for Carr. When he arrives in Indianapolis, Carr will have in-person free agent meetings with 3 teams, the Jets, Saints, and Panthers. He's already visited New Orleans and New York, and now he adds Carolina and maybe more. Coaches, GMs, and owners are all in the same spot this week. So what do you make of this? Because it's been widely assumed by the league and by a lot of fans out there and people in the know that Carr is just looking to get paid at the end of the day. But what if I told you he's actually looking for fit? So would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers possibly be in that conversation to get Derek Carr?
Yeah, it really depends on the asking price, right? That's what it comes down to. I think the fit could be there. It's just what is he asking, and what can the Bucs considerably afford? If he's trying to get paid 35, 40 million, that's not going to work. If he pulls the Tom Brady type deal and saves the team money to put a better team around him at 20, 25 million, I think the Bucs would be interested in that. I think that would be something that they would have a conversation about. But I think the fit would be there. I mean, they're in probably the most winnable division right now in the NFL. They've got a good, contrary to belief, they've got a good coaching staff in place. They've got good players, good talent. And I think it could be a fit. It's just for the Bucs, it might not be monetary for Derek Carr, but for the Bucs, it's certainly going to be monetary. One thing that could work into the Bucs' favor is the state they play in. Florida has no sales tax or state tax. We know that.
Correct.
So an offer of, if he's considering money's not a problem to him, and some teams offering him 28 and Bucs are offering him 25, it balances out in that long run.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you have 2 wide receiving targets in Godwin and Evans, and not every team has that. And a lot of people say, well, maybe his family wants to live in New Orleans. New Orleans compared to Tampa, I think Tampa's a little bit better city. We're on with J.C. Allen of Pewter Report.
And they're probably going to lose Kamara for a good stretch of the season.
Right, exactly, as they should. Hopefully the NFL definitely makes an example out of him. With that being said, how surprised were you to hear the rumors about Leonard Fournette and Donovan Smith? And who do you think could be one of the next cap casualties of this team that may shock some people out there?
First off, just to clarify, those are not rumors. Those are indeed going to happen.
Okay.
Leonard Fournette, it's already been publicized. It was a mutual split between the two clubs. He was there with Brady. He's going to step away and be released by the Bucs. Donovan Smith, as reported by Pewter Report originally, is indeed going to be cut. And there's a strong possibility that they will move Tristan Wirfs to the left side and see what last year's rookie Luke Gedeke can do on the right side. That would still leave a hole at left guard. That could either be placed with Robert Hainsey or Nick Leverett, potentially. Aaron Stinney could come back in that battle Brandon Walton could be in that battle, or the Bucs could even go to the draft. Todd Bowles said that, those guys did a solid job and played well, but he'd like to get a little bit bigger there. So if there's a guard maybe in the second or third round that they feel could come in and compete for that spot that has a bit more size to them, that could be a potential possibility as well. Another thing to not rule out is Shaq Mason being released. The Bucs would save about $5 million if they did release Shaq Mason. Obviously, a heck of a guard, very talented, but he's small too. He's 6'1", not the biggest guy. So if they're looking to get bigger and looking to save some money, that could be a surprise move that the Bucs make in releasing Shaq Mason. Obviously, opening up multiple holes on that offensive line at potential left guard, right guard, and then right tackle or left tackle, depending on what they do with Wirfs. So, it's something to keep an eye on. I think another cut that should be expected is going to be Cam Brate and Ryan Suckup. Both of those guys would save substantial money against the cap. I think with Cam Brate, with the injuries and with the ineffectiveness kind of tapering off in his career, I think the Bucs will probably move on from him. And then Ryan Suckup, great within 50, within 40, he just can't make those long kicks. They'll save about $3 million on the cap with him. And then another surprise is Russell Gage. Obviously, they paid him a lot of money last year. Didn't really get the bang for his buck, got injured early. He did still put up, over 450 yards with 5 touchdowns. So he did, contribute in some factor, but not the way the Bucs hoped. They'd save a little under $3 million with him, so that could be another one of those surprise cuts.
Any chance that they can franchise Jamel Dean? I mean, he's going to be $18 million. I know Todd Bowles doesn't want to lose a good young corner. You can't teach size and speed. At the end of the day, he performed well. I think he definitely outperformed a Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's also a free agent. Is there a possibility they're going to be able to franchise him, free up money, or basically are we under the impression that basically he's done with the Bucs?
Well, I think it's more than likely he gets a large offer in free agency and chooses that route. I know he does love Bulls. He does love the Tampa area. He's very involved in all of his teammates' charities. He's very involved in all the Bucs charities. I know he loves the area. He's still in the area. He's actually doing the Bucs cruise line, I think, in April or so, potentially not a Bucs player, but doing the Bucs cruise line. So that would be interesting. But, obviously they're going to have to open up the cap space. And if they do that, that they could possibly franchise tag him. That's a real possibility. And the Bucs aren't one. They're not just going to make a bunch of moves and open up all this cap space all at once. They're going to open up as needed, which they'd have to do before the on-start free agency if they're going to franchise him. It's $18 million. It's a lot to put on it to clear up that cap space and then immediately take it all back up. I don't think they're going to be major players at the start of free agency anyways. But especially with those value signings and everything like that, so they technically won't need all that cap space. The ideal situation would be that they can hammer out a long-term contract before then. But it's potential that he wants to test free agency. He's going to make a lot of money this season, whether that's with the Bucs or with another team. And if the Bucs are paying 2 wide receivers nearly $20 million a year, can they afford to pay 2 cornerbacks nearly 15 to $32-33 million a year?
Right.
I don't know if they can, especially with Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr., and Trisha Wirfs all up for deals coming up pretty soon here.
All right.
Plus Mike Evans, a free agent after the season too.
Right, and he's not going to be traded. I mean,
no, he's not.
Throwing that out there that he's going to be traded, but he's too much of a cap hit. You're not going to get rid of him. I still don't think the Bucs are in a rebuild, although I have major questions about Kyle Trask, and people keep on telling me, Brock Purdy and Tom Brady, and you don't know, and this and that, and he sat under Tom Brady, but realistically, to tell you the truth, the trend in the National Football League is for quarterbacks to start right away. I always think of Josh Allen, comes in, starts right away. Patrick Mahomes, 2 years, they trade away Alex Smith. He comes in the second year and has a great year. I mean, traditionally, when you have a young quarterback, you start them right away usually. you don't let them sit for 2 or 3 years unless they're Aaron Rodgers. And again, that really doesn't necessarily always happen in the league, in my opinion.
Right,
So,
exactly. And I think the whole sit behind Brady thing is kind of blown out of proportion, but with just limited quarterbacks having success in other places. But I do think that watching someone who's the best at their craft, as long as you're not trying to emulate and recreate who they are on the field, but learning their study habits, learning those things, I think those could definitely, learning how they watch tape and how they see the game is definitely beneficial. Not all those quarterbacks that learned under him had the talent or the ability to move on, but if you look at quite a few of them, from the Matt Castles to the Jimmy Garoppolos to the Brian Hoyers to the Jacoby Brissetts, while they're not outstanding quarterbacks, they've had long extended careers in the NFL. Even a guy like Ryan Mallett bounced around for quite a while. So, and
sure.
then you look at some of these other guys. Kevin O'Connell's one of the bright young minds in the NFL. Minnesota Vikings head coach Cliff Kingsbury, before he was let go, was a head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. And there's another guy. I think he actually is the Rams, Robinson. Zach Robinson. He's another guy who sat under Brady and Belichick and drafted as a quarterback in that system, and now he's a prominent coach in the league.
Any chance they go for one of these young quarterbacks, namely an Anthony Richardson, very inconsistent, boom or bust, has all the measurables. A lot of people think he'll go number 1 overall because of his combine, possibly go at number 19 or sooner than that. Any interest in him out of Florida, drafting a young quarterback? And what about a Hendon Hooker who's coming off an injury, but reports are that he's going to be ready for training camp? Is somebody you think the Bucs would take a look at? See, for me, at 19, you're not taking the best player on the board. You're trading out, because if you have all these needs and you're losing players in free agency, which you're going to, you have 21 or 23 free agents, to me, this would be the perfect year to trade out of that spot and get multiple picks, no?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the only way that they stay in that spot, if there's a guy like a
Jalen Carter, which is
immediate step-in starter that
Right.
they don't have similar grades on. I think cornerback, you have 2 top-tier guys in Gonzalez and Witherspoon, but then I think that next group of guys, there are some who are slightly better than others, but I think they're all grouped in that area. And if you can move back, acquire picks, and still grab one of those corners, that's the position you're targeting. I think that's where you can do it. I think edge rusher is the same. I think if you need a starting linebacker, you can move back. Those positions, if you need a tackle, I think the same thing, really. I think Paris Johnson and Skoronski's are already going to be gone. So you can move back and pick up a Harrison or a guy like Anton Harrison or Broderick Jones or DeJuan Jones from Ohio State. You can move back and grab one of those guys to accumulate picks. If a guy like Brian Branch is sitting there at 19 and you need a starting safety / nickelback, I think that's a pick that they'd really, really consider, especially with Todd Bowles being the head coach and a former safety and a safety type of guy, and the ability that he would give him, although he would like to keep Antoine Winfield more of in a base position and let him master that, whether that's free safety or nickel. But I think the ability to use certain packages where you really don't know where Branch and Winfield are going to line up would be appealing to him. Obviously, I think Jalen Carter fell to that spot. Depending on what happens, that could be a potential situation where Warren Sapp 2.0 quarterback
Right.
could be a position there too. I mean, they're not going to rule out anything. All these quarterbacks have holes in their games. None of these guys is a can't miss prospect. They could go that route as well. I don't think they trade up for one of those guys if they start slipping.
Right.
But if one of them falls there at 19, I think they'll seriously consider it. And as far as Hendon Hooker, there's some red flags, but there's also some green flags. I think he fits what Canales' system's going to be. I think he just fits it perfectly. Obviously, he's a very smart quarterback. 58 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. I believe those are the stats. If I misquoted, forgive me. 60 something % accuracy as a quarterback, can do it with his legs, not a mobile guy, but he can make people miss, and he can utilize his legs in the running game. I think he'd be great. He's also going to be 25, and he's also going to be coming off a torn ACL. But he did play in a very quarterback-friendly offense, which is what Canales' system is going to be. So there's those pros and cons, really. What round do you take him in? Do you take him in the third round? If he's there, I don't think you can take him in the second round. Again, there's so many holes on this team. If they move down in the first and pick him an extra third or something like that, then I think it becomes a higher possibility than them picking at 19, picking at 50, and now comes around to 82, and Hendon Hooker's there. Do they take? I don't know if that's the scenario there. I think they might still be looking for a guy who can at least come in and compete for a starting job in the third round. That's how bad, they're in a situation as cap-wise and with roster turnover.
How do you think this organization feels about Devin White? Because his deal is coming up next year. I mean, what do you get the sense of? Is this a big year for Devin White, of course? And do you think that they're inclined to give him that big-time extension? And reports would suggest when he was coming out of LSU that he wanted a $100 million contract, but he is inconsistent. He's not the best coverage linebacker, but we know that when White can turn it on, he's one of the best young linebackers in the league. Where do you see the Bucs? What do you see the Bucs, and how do they feel about White being a part of this organization going forward?
Oh, he's getting that hundo.
Okay.
And it's coming from the Bucs. It's going to happen. He's going to get that $100 million contract from the Buccaneers. Bull spoke on him yesterday. He thinks the world of him. He sees the things that he does that other players can't do, and that he does that maybe the average fan isn't seeing. Obviously Levante David has been a huge part of that because of his ability to do so much and just be just a great linebacker that allows Devin White to do so much more. So it'll be interesting to see how Devin White plays consistently for a full season without Levante. But I think they might be in a situation where they might have to extend him this year just to open up that more cap space, that extra cap space. And with the numbers jumping up for linebackers, there's easily a situation where someone gets a extension or someone signs a deal that makes that number even higher. So maybe they decide to lock him up and open up that cap space and lock him up long-term this season. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, my friend, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Thanks a lot for your time as always, JC.
Yeah, not a problem. You guys can find me at JC Allen NFL. All of my work at Pewter Report, pewterreport.com, at Pewter Report on Twitter, and all of our podcasts breaking down some of the combine. We got a couple guys up there all week, so you can find us at Pewter Report TV on YouTube. Roger Shue, Troy Polamalu, go watch your trash AEW wrestling. And the rest of you have a great night.
Great stuff. Good stuff, JC Allen of Pewter Report. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend, right there. Giving everybody the burn. I love it. All right, let's read these comments, and then we'll get out to our other guest of the night, Mr. Best of the Bay himself, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, JC Allen of Pewter Report. Great stuff there. Roger Shue says, first, okay, we'll acknowledge
me.
Nice try, Troy. Say that 3 times. I couldn't. Good riddance, Fatty Fournette.
This guy sucks.
Roger says, dead ass Donovan. See ya.
This guy sucks.
You guys are trolling me tonight. This is what you're going to get. Let's go fire those cannons. We shall. Let's go out to Roger again. Do the Bears still take Jalen Carter? I'll tell you what. We'll get back to that in a moment because I have some thoughts about it. But I will say this. I really don't understand athletes these days. I tell you what, I don't understand young people these days. And maybe once again, I'm the guy with, the gray beard and I'm the guy to get off my lawn. I don't want to be that guy. But I will say this. If I have the biggest job interview of my life and I truly love what I do, and I know that I could possibly be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, why in the world am I going out and putting myself in a situation that happened in that tragic incident? Why am I doing that? And that's my question for the night. Why do athletes act like this? Let me put it into terms that you will understand. If you have the biggest job interview of your life, are you putting yourself in a situation to cost you? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I don't get Carter. I get it. He's young, but don't put yourself in the situation. I don't get Stetson Bennett. He's 25 years old. You should know damn better to go out and get publicly drunk. It's stupid. Alvin Kamara, there's another knucklehead. What's the priority? You want to be an NFL type player or you want to be in jail? You want to be a criminal? You want to commit criminal acts? You want to put yourself in the situation where somebody can put a target on your back? You're putting a target on your back? Why would you do it? You got everything to lose. You know, it's like me getting a job with ESPN or Fox Sports, hopefully one of these days. And the night before I sign the contract, I decide to go out, get drunk with the boys, and celebrate before I get the job. And then show up at the job interview drunk. That sucks.
That's good enough to suck right there.
We'll talk more about this later, but I want to know your feelings on it. And what about a Bucs fans? If he drops at number 19, if there's a possibility, would you be excited about it? I'm not so sure. I think that's kind of a red flag. Because that has to play in it. It can't just be about talent and winning games. Character issue, character matters in the National Football League. And it will cost you at some point. Not only off the field, but on it. Eric. Hi, Peter Blake. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Cole. Yes, sir. Or Christopher O'Reilly. Excuse me. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for tuning in. Eric says, we are ready for a special treat today. Thank you, sir.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Harry says, in Kyle, we shall trust no choice. Harry the Greek's music. And then you get this.
This guy sucks.
Roger says, Opa. Zach says, we need a veteran quarterback. Trask still needs time to develop. Good comment.
Oh, yeah.
But that's my whole point of contention. If he needs to develop how many wins this year, and I continue to ask Bucs fans, how many wins if you have Kyle Trask at the controls? And what I hear is the average number. I'm not playing games with you because I did this little survey on Facebook. That's what I do. I play my little games. You want to play my game? That's what you do here on the Sports Web. We play games. You can speculate all you want to, but you're going to play my game. Trust me. 4 to 6 wins. So is that is that what you want? You want 4 to 6 wins? You get yourself a number 1 pick next year. You're not going to win many games, and I'm not sure if Todd Bowles will last unless the Glazers have said, you know what? We'll go with Kyle Trask. We'll go with your coaching staff, and we'll go from there. And we'll give you 2 years. Goodbye, 76. Happy gone. Roger Shue. Godwin to the Bears once again. Nonsense. You love that.
That's good enough to suck right there.
Christopher Cole. Hey, what's up, everyone? What's going on, Christopher?
Oh, yeah.
Troy Polamalu says first. No, you're not. You're last.
This guy sucks.
Kevin says, evening, y'all. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Troy. I told you, Peter, the Bucs were going to cut fat Fournette when you're going to start listening to me. Never, because you never say anything that makes any sense.
Shut up.
David says, have you noticed all three of Jason Light, Todd Bowles, our new offensive coordinator, every time somebody asks them about Kyle, they take a deep breath before the answer. Well, wouldn't you take a deep breath if you had to answer? Somebody who has potential, is a second-round pick, but's only thrown 9 passes. And he's coming into his 3rd year in the league. Tell you what, we'll get back to the comments in a moment. I don't want to allow this guy to wait any longer. Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Welcome to the Evolution. And, of course, we got to talk about one of your favorite subjects out there, Mr. Kyle Trask and Jason Light's comments yesterday. What do you make of it? Welcome to the Evolution.
Hey, Peter, thanks for having me tonight. Great interview there with JC, man. I love talking to that cat. And, just while I'm thinking about it right up front, let me go ahead and say what a great thing it was having JC doing all the check-ins for Pewter Report on the radio last year. First, he started with Pat and Aaron, then he was finishing up with J and Z. But as far as, one of the biggest things to take away from those comments at the combine there from Jason Light yesterday was when he slipped up and he said, talking about not Kyle Trask, but the offensive coordinator. And he says, we went to great lengths. So I'm paraphrasing, or we did our due diligence. And then he kind of corrected himself and he said, I mean, Todd Bowles, really interviewed these guys and asked these questions. Well, yeah, right. But the thing is, though, that Todd Bowles, he is a defensive-minded coach. He's going to coach his team from a defensive-minded position, and it's not going to be Clyde Christensen, Tony Dungy, Sean King, and average of 6.3 points a game. Or it could be, but we have a lot more tools than we had back in those days. But as far as Jason Light's comments on Kyle Trask, he's saying exactly what he has to. They still have to look for a veteran quarterback. They're still going to need a third arm just to come in and help teach this offense to all these players and have rhythm going. Because really, when you're learning a new offense, everyone needs to learn it, but you need arms. Because you need arms to go through the progressions with the passes, to run the route trees, to get the timing down, even if it's a third string quarterback. So they're going to bring those quarterbacks in. So far, Jason Light's saying everything right.
Let's assume that the big boys are out of it. Derek Carr, of course, that would be my choice, but maybe he's priced out. Aaron Rodgers, no way. Lamar Jackson, people keep on talking about them. Who are some of the names that you would like to see compete with Trask for the starting role in 2023?
Like is I'm not going to stretch. I'm going to stretch it on this one, but it's because I'm thinking about from a pure financial standpoint. Because I'm thinking if it doesn't work this year, if they brought Jesus Christ and John the Baptist in to play tight end with this team, the holes they have to fill, it's not the same team they had in 2020. It's still a very good team. Jason Light's done a great job building this team. But crazy enough as it seems, I'm looking for a veteran who either has something to prove, is going to come in here for a very low or very friendly salary, that the only way he escalates is if he takes over the starting role, and he very much could, and he gets those escalation clauses, 8 wins, 10 wins, Pro Bowl, consideration for MVP. We make the playoffs. We go to the Super Bowl.
Playoffs! She said playoffs!
Playoffs? You're talking playoffs. And the person that comes in right at the top
Sucks.
Yeah, you're going to hate me for this, Peter. I like Carson Wentz. The guy was MVP on an MVP pace back before Foles took over that Philadelphia team in 2017. He looks like he's scared. I don't think he wants to play, but if he does want to play, he may come with just the right price tag and just enough of an attitude.
That's one of the names that I said I would probably take Trask over, but at the end of the day, I understand the potential is there, right? I mean, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He was a second overall pick, just 2 years removed from 27-7 with the Colts. And then they rid of him. He's got, again, he's most overly used word, potential. He's got, the tools, and he can throw, and he's got some mobility. What has happened mentally to him, I have no idea. Another name out there that's been predicted to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'll throw it out. How about a Baker Mayfield? What do you see with him?
Kid's got game. He does have the wheels. And, even Dave Canales says he's going to probably look to have more mobility. Of course, with Tom Brady having been a quarterback the last 3 years, a statue has more mobility in the pocket. I'm kidding. But he looks to have mobility. Baker Mayfield has a lot to prove, and I still think that kid's got the kind of game, the kind of game he had in college under Cliff Kingsbury, the kind of game that, he's got that attitude, that swagger, and he may have some good things that if Kyle Trask is your starter, he may also have some good other things that will rub off on Kyle Trask, because Kyle Trask has shown since Manville High, and he's shown at University of Florida. He's used to being in the backup. He's used to being in the shadow, but still picking up the nuances of an offense to put a Kadarius Toney and a Kyle Pitts in, and they'll go 11-2 with the Gators there the year he takes over Philip Frank. So Baker Mayfield, I like it.
How many wins do you think with Kyle Trask? I'm just going to put it out there because, again, I've done this survey on Facebook. I play games. People are like, what do you mean you call me for wins? Right now, as this team sits, and again, we don't know how many losses you're going to have in free agency. We don't know what the cap situation is going to be going forward. Again, the cap. Let's get that out of the way. The sky is falling. But Jason Light and the capologist over there will be able to do their thing. As the team sits right now, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, how many wins do you expect? I'm going to give you a baseball, right? WAR. WAR rating for Kyle Trask as a starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How many do they have?
Well, I'm going to preface it, but I'll be fast. They're talking about an NFC South that is still all three other teams, maybe the Saints less than the other two, but all three teams. Frank Reich's looking for a quarterback. What are the Falcons going to do? Are the Saints going to go with this guy, that guy? Is it going to be Derek Carr? Is it going to be whomever? But you also take the other counterbalance to that is the fact that the Buccaneers, by way of an 8-9 record last year, they backed in and won the first place. So they're playing a first place schedule. So those two things cancel each other out. But I'll make it brief here saying this is going to be a Todd Bowles defensive-minded team. Defenses win championships. And if I'm dreaming, Trent Dilfer and the Ravens in 2000, and some of the things over the history, some of the teams with great defenses, I still say that I still think the Bucs can go 8-9.
Okay.
9-8, and it's going to all come down to the fact that the Buccaneers can establish a running game. If they can establish a running game, which was non-existent completely in 2022, but they, running those same 3 plays over and over, but with different formations and different subtleties and differences, the Bucs could go to 10-7 in this division, Pete, because of this division. The fact that the other 3 teams are searching almost as hard as Tampa Bay is, and bury the lead. We're only 2 years removed from a Super Bowl. We've got a lot of great pieces in good places.
And we're on with a good man himself at a great place right now, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and The Hub, talking about running backs. How surprised were you to hear about Leonard Fournette? Wasn't the Bucs that are going to release him. It's the fact he asked for his release, doesn't want to go through a rebuild, wants to win championships. Make some sense of this whole situation, because I feel like I understand it, but then again, it's like, well, I want my release because I want to go and chase a ring, and that kind of tells me where the Bucs are at right now, and maybe they are in a rebuild.
Well, the thing is that Jason Light, the Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, all the other 52 players in the locker room, they know what playoff Lenny or, Marty Lenny, they know if he likes being here. What's his, we're not going to go back to Steve Christie back in 95 when Sam Weiss doesn't protect him on plan B. And of course, the Buffalo Bills steal him away. Oh, we thought he was going to stay here. He was going to USF. He had a girlfriend that just graduated and she's a Bull. And that surprises them. I think the reason why I think that a general manager like Jason Light's going to keep those cards to the vest. But when a veteran like Lenny Fournette says that, 800 yards last season, but the guy's gotten great with his hands out of the backfield, I think Jason Light figures, 1, I put it out there that we're going to cut him. B, we let him test the market, see if there's another team, which inevitably there probably will be. And then when another team comes back, just like J.C. Allen or if Pewter was mentioning, you take into account the tax-free income tax-free state, Florida. Does he like it here? Jacksonville here, manned up in New Orleans. The guy comes from New Orleans. And of course, with, what's going on there with Kamara, they may be looking for a running back. But I think Jason Light behooves him. Get the guy out there, let him see what his worth is, and then come back to us if someone's not offering you that's $8 or that $9 or that $10 million you think you're going to get, but probably you're not, because last year's statistics don't bear out for that.
No, you're not going to give a running back $8 to $9 to $10 million anymore. You're not going to. And to tell you the truth, he was hurt last year. He looked like he had a piano on his back, whether he was hurt or not, whether it was the offensive line or not. But at 28 years old, that's kind of the age where you're kind of starting to run down, right? Because you have all those carries in college. You had those carries at LSU. You had those carries at Jacksonville. And that's why running backs are a dime a dozen. And they say don't draft a running back in the first round because you can get them in the later rounds. Case in point, Isaiah Pacheco, a big-time player for the Kansas City Chiefs and a contributing factor for that offense to take out. Now, this is what Fournette said. I asked after the season to be released, and they respected my wishes. Of course, this from Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. The other player in question, Donovan Smith. I feel like it's time. I said this on my show. I'll say it again. Get rid of him. It's time. The technique is not there. You free up $10 million. Furthermore, you move Tristan Wirfs to the left side. It's much easier to get a right tackle because you got one in Tristan Wirfs in his rookie year who came in instead of a left tackle. Because if you're looking for a left tackle and that player is supposed to protect the quarterback's blind side, it's not going to work out too well. That's why you move Wirfs to the left side, you draft a right tackle, or you go in-house with Luke Gedeke and you go from there. Your thoughts on Donovan Smith being released?
Yeah, I mean, moving Tristan Wirfs back over there, you still have that left guard you're filling, deciding what the Buck. I said is I know it's crazy. The Bucks want to get gritty, want to get a running game, want to see set Dave Canales up as much as they can, just like that Jason Light's going to try to do with Todd Bowles on the defensive side of the ball. But the fact of the matter is you're going to have Shaq Mason over there at right guard. You can bring someone else in, develop in-house. I still think you'll make your line stronger overall. But and the fact of the matter is left tackles make more than, unless you got a left-handed quarterback, your left tackle is always going to make more on average or many times than your right tackle or any other position on the offensive line. So for Tristan Wirfs, the kid can do it. I believe he can. So why would it behoove him not to do it? And so they go that route. Also, I've questioned with Hainsey filling in so admirably all season, is there a team out there that could use a Ryan Jensen? I know you hate me saying that, but if we're talking about making decisions now that are continue to keep other pieces in place, or is that a position they have to keep to get that gritty?
No, you have to keep Ryan Jensen, because I don't want any excuses out there. The Traskites, if you will, or Trask Force saying, well, the Bucs didn't have an offensive line and they didn't have enough weapons around him because he wasn't successful. If he's going to be the starter, we shall see, according to Todd Bowles. Still not named the starter. You're going to compete for it. You should compete for it. I'll tell you what, Let's go out to these comments here. Troy Balamayo, I'm always giving you the best takes, unlike Harry, who keeps costing us money by giving us the wrong bets. And for that, this is what you get.
Shut up!
Make this quick. WCW is on. That's actually pretty funny.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let's go out to Roger. Troy, don't start your crap. Oh, that's good. Little war in the text room here, chat room. Russ Lawson says, how about getting Daniel Jones? Look, Jones played well last year, but before that, he's a turnover machine. And furthermore, if reports suggest that he wants $45 million, you can go pound sand on that. Daniel Jones, throw it out there. Russ is throwing it out there. Ray Kennedy, what about Daniel Jones in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers system?
No, I mean, it's got to be, again, here's the thing. I've said this. If Derek Carr's here next week, if Derek Carr signs here, if the Buccaneers make a move to bring in Aaron Rodgers, because the fact of the matter is we might go 7-10, but we're going to sell 5 million seats. We're going to continue to have the entire world upon us. We're going to sell so much merch that the Glazers put so much coin in their pocket that it's almost worth mortgaging the next decade to bring a $60 million quarterback in and give away your number ones. The fact of the matter is, if they make a move for a quarterback that's expected 100% to be a starter, then that says that, the guys in the room, Bruce Arians up top in the special office and Jason Light and the other guys, they realize that Kyle's not the guy. And the thing is that they have not done anything at this point to say he's not the guy. So if you're getting a veteran quarterback in here, you're getting someone, again, that has a prove it thing to do, an escalation contract. You tell them, hey, we got a world-class defense going here. We just put a Lombardi in the case 2 years ago. We think we got a shot in an NFC South that's still kind of weak. Come over here, build your stock back up, Baker Mayfield. Come over here, have some success, Sam Darnold. Come over here and let's see what you can do, whomever.
Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz. I mean, I'm not killing these names. Taylor Heineke. That's another name out there. I mean, talk about him a little bit. You liked him. You liked the grit of this player, how he played against the Bucs in that playoff game, scaring the hell out of the whole defense there with with his mobility and making some throws. I mean, what about him?
He was he was literally, without a doubt, 2020 season, he was the single most large object that the team almost didn't get around. And of course, Chase Young went out a little injured that game. So there were some other reasons why the defense wasn't able to lock it down for the Washington, whatever they're called, the Daniel Snyder's a jerk team. But Heineke with the attitude, especially they're going with Sam Howell. Maybe he's got, but I think Heineke's probably still there in Washington thinking, if Sam Howell's not the guy, maybe I can prove again that I still am the guy. So I mean, any quarterback like that's not going to take away from this team, that's going to play good ball, wants to come to Florida, to that income tax-free state. And by the way, you may end up resurrecting a career that maybe just needed a little bit of resuscitation.
And because Canales did that last year with Geno Smith, who's to say that it's not out of the realm of possibility? Good stuff there, Tampa Bay. Ray, let's go back out to these comments and read from these knuckleheads here, the webheads. Make this quick. WCW's on and read that quote. All right.
It was funnier. It was funny the second time. It was funny the second time.
AEW is on. Hurry this Bucks crap up.
Roger show. Sucks.
Q here. Q Grant. The Sports Web is on fire. Thanks a lot.
He's on fire.
There you go. Misador says JW3 may be available. Want to tackle that one?
You know how I feel about that one. I said, when I did 7,000 on that Sunday morning show, when his camp agreed in principle with the contract with the Saints, I said, if he's not, if he doesn't have the success there or whatever, I can see a road where Jameis could come back home. And I'm not saying he wants to. Maybe he does feel slighted by this team, although he himself even said, look what was behind door number 2. Of course, he had to do that. But if he wants to stick it to the Saints, if they're not going to make him whole, if the Saints go out and do a bunch of spending and they can get out, of course, but I didn't realize that they would be, I think they'd have like almost $9 million in dead cap money this year. So I think the Jameis Winston thing, as much as I think it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I just think it's probably financially impossible for the Saints, let alone the Bucs, to try to do that.
Well, I think the Saints are going to let him go anyway. I mean, I think eventually they're going to move on.
Not this year, though, Pete. Even if they bring in Derek Carr, you got these $9 million in cap space. It doesn't hurt to have an available second-string quarterback. It's cheaper to keep her this season and then get rid of him next season. But, who knows?
It seems like they're going to move on. We shall see. Misador says, was Tebow successful in the SEC asking for a friend? He was.
Oh, that's
Eric says, Misador, hell no. Misador, yes. Let's see here. Any news on your boy Leftwich? I thought I saw him the other day at Waffle House washing dishes.
This guy sucks.
Troy again. Eric, how did he fare in the NFL? Well, look, he had some success, but once again, he wasn't able to throw from the pocket consistently, which was his downfall. Peter got Leftwich a job with us.
That's good. That was suck right there.
I'll tell you right now, man, you guys are really cruising for a bruising tonight, aren't you?
Hey, Pete, it's March 1st, baby. It's March 1st, and we're so busy covering football to come by.
I know.
But we got March Madness. I haven't even started to do my brackets.
And I'm not going to lie to you, man. I have not watched one college basketball game this year.
I can't wait.
So enthralled with the Bucs, so enthralled with the NFL, so enthralled with the Tampa Bay Lightning, who made another trade tonight with San Jose. And they're on a roll themselves. They're going for a cup. The Rays right around the corner. So there's so many things going on. NBA,
the Grand Prix this weekend. It's St. Petersburg's week on the world stage, and I love it. I'll be down there Friday night. Cup of Ray on a Friday night.
Nice.
You got people, Europeans walking around in their $1,000 shoes. You got Lambos running up and down Central. It's just good time.
Well, speaking of a guy that walks around with no shoes on the street, there. Let's go out to the tribal troll here, Mr. Roger Shoot from Newport Richie. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Welcome. He's back. Is that okay?
All right. I can
okay,
in because AEW is over now.
Okay.
So that was, great show.
Great show.
Go home show for Revolution on Sunday night.
Pete, I'm sorry. Roger, it's good talking to you. I got to get out of here real quick. My battery's about to go down, brother. So I thank you.
Right,
I'm going to talk to you soon.
Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy right there, out on the building, out and about. As always, go ahead, Tribal Troll.
So, Peter Blake, so let's get into the Jalen Carter thing, man. What do you think? Should the Bears still take a risk?
All right.
Or should they go with what's his name? Anderson.
Let's go through it today. Former Georgia star Jalen Carter, who could be the #1 overall player in this draft, one of the top prospects, of course, in next month's NFL draft. The Athens Clarke County, Georgia Police Department has issued an arrest warrant obtained Wednesday by the Associated Press, which alleges Carter was racing his 2021 Jeep Trackhawk against a 2021 Ford Expedition driven by recruiting staffer 24-year-old Chandler LaCroix, which led to the January 15th wreck. Devin Willock, who was an offensive lineman for the Bulldogs, and LaCroix were killed in what police initially reported as a single vehicle accident.
And now, Jalen Carter was not drunk in the accident.
No, he wasn't. But again, he put himself in a situation which is foolish in itself. And let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this.
Peter Blake.
Let me ask you the question, because when I was in my 20s and I had a job interview, I certainly know that the night before I wasn't going out with the boys celebrating. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't going out with the girl getting drunk or whatever else. And by the way, there's Uber out there. So there's that. Not back in my day, but back now there's Uber.
Peter.
So with that being said, let me put you on the spot. You know that he's got talent. There's no denying it. But if you're the Chicago Bears at this juncture, do you feel comfortable in investing money into this young man who obviously made a mistake but has poor judgment? Are you comfortable with that? And with that being said, would you do the same thing, Roger Shue? If you had one of the biggest job interviews in your life, would you put it? Would you go out there and get in trouble and put a target on your back?
I wouldn't do something like he did.
Okay.
But yes, I would be out partying. Yes, I would.
But before the job interview or after you get the job?
Yeah, both.
Okay. No, you wouldn't, because I know you're lying about this, because if you were going to be a millionaire or a multimillionaire in this case, you would be at your house probably preparing for that job interview, doing everything you could, and then after you get the job, party all you want to. I don't understand this. This is what I don't understand.
I would honestly, I would wait until afterwards, after you get hired, you get the contract, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
I think you're still viable. You know, I think you still have to take him. If not him, you go to Anderson. Anderson said he thinks the Bears has something special going. So I would at this point be more interested in going with him.
I want to read more on this incident. Details of the investigation released Wednesday cited evidence that Carter and LaCroix were operating the vehicle in a manner consistent with racing shortly before the crash. The evidence demonstrated that both vehicles switched between lanes, drove in the center turn lane, drove in opposite lanes of travel, overtook other motorists, drove at high rates of speed in an apparent attempt to outdistance each other. Now, according to Yahoo Sports, of course, Carter is the number one draft pick on a lot of people's boards. And according to those sources, that works for a team in the top 5 of the draft. Speaking on condition of anonymity, Carter's situation is firmly in wait-and-see portion of the draft proceedings as teams receive more information on Carter's involvement in the crash. Furthermore, another source told Yahoo Sports that the blunt truth of the matter is Carter may not fall at all if the two misdemeanors are to the extent of what happens legally.
Did you see Jalen Carter's response?
Let me finish. He's one of those players that is special enough to survive something like this if this is the worst of the news. So there you go.
Okay, they are misdemeanors, first of all. He's not going to jail. You know, nothing like that.
Well, he's already kind of lied about the whole situation.
He said that he's going to go back to Athens
after the moment, 30 minutes before you have a job interview.
He's going to answer the charges.
Right.
And he says that he plans, after the evidence comes out, he will be fully exonerated of all charges.
So again, let me ask you, are you comfortable if you're the Chicago Bears in drafting him? Besides talent alone, do you think the organization is comfortable enough to give that man guaranteed money with knowing the kind of decisions he's making off the field? How can you trust? How can you trust him if you can't trust him off the field? How can you trust him on the field?
Okay, counterpoint: Antonio Brown and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right, and how did that work out? By the way, yeah, you won a Super Bowl.
You won a Super Bowl.
How did it work out?
Go.
But
that's all that matters.
On a limited basis. On a limited basis, my friend. Limited.
You won a Super Bowl.
Okay. All right.
I think the Bears should bring him in. Have a long sit-down interview with Ryan Poles, and it's going to be like, I would make it like an all-day meeting, and just sit down, and go over everything that happened and get his side of it, and basically give him the ultimatum like he gave Antonio Brown here in Tampa. We'll sign you if you F up. You're done.
Okay. All right.
Do you agree? I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, I think that's how it's going to work out anyway. But the problem for me is the whole idea of, well, now he's going to do what he needs to do. He should have did what he needed to do in the first place. That's called
Peter, he's
accountability.
22 years old.
It doesn't
when you were
matter.
20,
It's
you were
accountability.
racing the Mustang.
It has
You were
to,
doing all of the
that
stupid
is,
shit like
that
every other
is
kid
the
does.
problem, though. That is the problem. When you condition athletes and say, well, it's okay. You're semi-talented. You can win some games for us. You can win a Super Bowl. It's all right. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. That whole
See, I
attitude
don't think
right
that it's not on the athlete.
Then
Okay.
who's it on?
I think that's on the NFL.
No, it's on the coaches.
They don't care
It's
about
on
the personal conduct.
It's on the
All they're worried about is the marketing and the money they can make off the player.
Then don't give me the lip service that you do care about the shield and you care about protecting the league if you're not going to do something about it. Okay.
They don't.
All
if
right.
they did, they would have done it 20 years ago.
All right, Roger. What else?
That's it, man. Good show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Tell Alexandra I said hey.
I will.
And Troy, you're still a freaking little troll, baby. You won't ever call in. You don't thumbs up. You don't do anything. You're a waste. Why are you even here?
All right. Thanks a lot, Roger. I'll acknowledge you. Use that second call if you want to. All right.
Acknowledge me.
Look, I don't think he's alone in that assessment, right? I mean, I asked Buccaneer fans tonight, if Jalen Carter dropped to 19, would you be comfortable with this organization drafting him? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Don't get me wrong about this. I was a kid also. I made some stupid mistakes. But you get into trouble like this, you got to go to jail. Celebrity privilege, athletic privilege, that shouldn't be there. You do something, you got to be accountable for it. Well, now he's being accountable for it. Well, why did it take so long? Because he got worried? Because he got reported? Because he knew he did the wrong thing? Because he couldn't be protected? Mr. Beaner or not, why even put yourself in the situation? And people make light of it. Well, he's just doing this and doing that. I mean, he's a defensive tackle. Guy get after the quarterback and all this other nonsense. That's not the point. You're drafting this kid. He is going to be a cornerstone of your franchise. You're depending on him. You're bringing this kid into your community. When Jameis Winston was drafted by the Bucs, everything had to be considered. Yes, he won a Heisman Trophy at Florida State. Yes, he won a national championship. But the other stuff off the field also had to be put into context. It had to be included. And he still got into trouble, right? Didn't necessarily work out here. So those are the type of things. Deshaun Watson, say whatever you want to. Make jokes all you want to. 2 years out of the NFL, got paid. But embarrassing fashion. Alvin Kamara is going to go through it. I mean, these are the reasons why you do all these draft interviews. These are the reasons why scouts go and do these backup, these checks out there on their character. That's the reason why they do that. That's the reason why they do their research. I was told the reason why Dalvin Cook at the time wasn't drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they were worried about the off-the-field problems. And they didn't think it would work here. So they were inclined to pass on him because he was semi-talented, but because there was so much trouble off the field, to let him get out of here. We'll never know, right? We always go back to it. So there's other things that you have to put into the equation when making these draft picks. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, I don't want to come off as the guy that's saying, get off my lawn. But when are athletes and celebrities accountable? You and me do this kind of stuff, we're going to jail. You and me do this kind of stuff, we're going to probation. There is no, that guy, man, he's hell of a salesperson on the phone, man. I'm going to protect him. No, Peter Blake is going to jail. Peter Blake is dealing with the consequences. You are dealing with the consequences. So I guess, again, the question for the night, whether you're a Bucs fan or you're a team looking at Jalen Carter, are you comfortable in drafting him? Let's go back out to the comments here on the evolution. If you want to talk about the quarterback situation, you're more than able to do it. Once again, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's see here. Bucs going from 45-year-old quarterback to a young, big, strong kid sounds promising. It does. I know, Russ, that you're on this bandwagon of thinking that, and he may be. I just have my doubts. I do. I have my doubts on this. We'll see. This narrative is killing me. How many successful quarterbacks have been there, have learned from Brady, Jimmy G, and what else? Well, Jacoby Brissett is one of those quarterbacks. Most likely could be picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Has he done much of anything? Not really. I mean, what if Brady told them that he's not the quarterback of the future? Is that a possibility? People are, well, he learned from Tom Brady and this and that. And again, they get paid to do a job. I get paid to do this job, right? They know more than I do. They're privy to more than what we are. They see the practice reps. They see everything else. I'm just saying, for a guy that supposedly is the guy, it doesn't certainly seem like it. Flacco or Darnold be good veteran quarterbacks to have an insurance policies. Leftwich can't get even a job at the XFL. Troy, put a timer on JC Allen. He talks a lot. You know what? You talk too much also.
This guy sucks.
The difference is that JC has something to say, and you absolutely bring nothing to the show but a bunch of nonsense. So stop with the nonsense of saying my guest talked too much, because he's trying to give you the inside of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give you a little insight. I could sit here and talk all freaking night long and speculate and tell you what I think and everything else. But this guy, he's with Pewter Report. He covers them on a daily basis. And you're just trolling like always. Good one, says Eric. Eric again. How about Geno Smith? Geno. I like Geno Smith. What's the price tag? Is he interested in getting paid? Is he interested in coming to Tampa Bay? I think there would be some genuine interest. What's the price tag? Again, cap. I just want to choke myself every time I say cap. I mean, seriously. That's probably why I'm not good budget. I'm not a good person when it comes to budgeting money. Let's just put it out there. So I definitely think there would be some genuine interest, but it would come down to how much he wants to get paid. But is he familiar with Dave Canales? Yes. And I definitely think Canales deserves a lot of the credit on what Smith and what he did last year with the 30 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, being a Pro Bowl quarterback. Because remember, nobody wanted Geno Smith before this year. He was one of those journeyman quarterbacks that was characterized as a bust. Remember, he had his own situation at the draft where he thought he was going to be drafted higher, and he walks out of the draft and then comes back and learn maturity level, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, maturing as a quarterback. Maybe some quarterbacks mature, a little bit slower than others. I want to read some of these comments from I Love St. Pete here. Want to get out to them in a moment, but we'll get to these. Cap is a myth. I think so too. Roger says, Troy, one more rude comment about the host or guest. You will be banned. I'm not kidding. This is a business, not just fun. Again, YouTube chats are out there. Facebook stars are out there. Give to the calls if you want to. Bro, I came to enjoy the joy, not fall asleep. Came to enjoy what? Came to enjoy the show, not fall asleep. Okay, listen and learn. Roger Shue, Vita Vea getting traded for the Browns for Watson. Laugh out loud. Nonsense.
This guy sucks.
Let's go out to Ben here. Wouldn't surprise me if they choose SMB over Jamel Dean, especially if Dean gets a large offer somewhere else, and SMB wouldn't command nearly as much money and would be a cheaper option at this point. Good comment, as always, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
You're exactly right. And you look back at the last game of the season versus the Dallas Cowboys when you're in that wild card game, and who gets the start? SMB, because he's the hotter player at that point. Dean was hurt or under the weather. Who knows? Maybe that's a foreshadowing of things to come. We've seen SMB play before, but he's too inconsistent at times. But you're exactly right. Because of that inconsistency, he's not going to be as much as Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean's going to be $18 million or more. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to give him a contract. The Detroit Lions would definitely be in line for that. Definitely. So good comment. Christopher Cole says Gage should restructure or he's gone. Injured last year, making $10 million, third wide receiver, disappointing to a certain degree. I certainly think that's possible. Troy says Bucs suck, but they will go down in history for having the greatest Super Bowl parade on boats through the river. I'm still going to give you this.
This guy sucks.
Gage would only save $2 million, right? I think it's actually a little bit more than that, to tell you the truth. Where's Harry? He's not here tonight. Long career as a backup, Roger Shue. Bears taking Carter or Anderson. Good. I hope that they're the right players. But again, I want to give you something to think about. Are you okay with that? I know it's not your decision, but it's something to, it's supremely talented. Can he stay out of trouble? Warren Sapp, another case, right? We talked about it. Off the field stuff turned out to be a Hall of Famer, good move. But there were question marks there. With every Warren Sapp, you have a Lawrence Phillips. You remember him? Top running back from the Rams. Ended up going to prison. How about Ray Caruth? You didn't think I did my research tonight? I mean, I'm a draft guy. I love the draft. I'll talk about the history of draft all day long. How about those prospects? And that has to play a part in it. It has to be character issue too. What take the running back from Texas? I know who you're talking about. Bijan Robinson. Not sure about that move. And I really feel like, at the end of the day, you got Rashard White. What's the reason why you draft him as a premium pick? He's got all the potential in the world. You heard Canales talk about him, what he can do. So why not give him a chance? You also have Keyshawn Vaughn, who invested a third-round pick in just a couple years ago. You got to give him a chance. Plus, you can go out there and draft a running back in the later rounds. So why would you waste that first-round pick when you have so many other needs? And I get it, Robinson is unbelievable when you turn on the film at the end of the day. But you have needs at offensive tackle. You have needs at cornerback. You have needs at pass rusher. Safety. Who's your safety? Keanu O'Neal, Logan Ryan, they're gone. They're not coming back at this point. Wow, we got some news here. I don't know if this is correct or not. We'll see in a moment. Cut off JC, get the Greek on. What are you guys talking about?
This guy sucks.
We would be the best vet cheap option at quarterback for who would be the best vet cheap option at quarterback for free agency? I mean, we talked about it. Baker Mayfield, I think would definitely be good. I like Gardner Minshew. I get it, 8-16 record, but he can throw the ball when he's gotten the opportunity. I get it. Jacksonville decided to move on. He was a backup for Philadelphia last year. I think he could be a quality backup and compete, more than likely take the starting job. Who knows? Those are my type of guys. Jacoby Brissett, starting to buy into that. Mobility, even though I called him fat ass Jacoby Brissett, he did beat the Bucs last year with the Cleveland Browns. So those are some of the players. And of course, the other player that I would like. Sorry, I just woke up. What did I miss? Is the snooze fest over? Roger Shue, he's still talking. Love you, JC, says Roger Shue. You guys got to stop trolling my guest there. That guy is professional. He knows what he's talking about. Kevin says, great information from JC. There's a lot of work for Light and crew for this team. Absolutely, there is. Peter, I answer your Carter question off air. Well, you already answered it. Henry Ruggs still in jail. There's another one right there, right? How detrimental was that to the Raiders organization? Think about that. Were there signs there? Were there red flags? I mean, you didn't hear anything. But then again, there it was. Getting into a situation. Costing your team. Let's see here. Christopher Cole says it's difficult because we've been here before. We got to trust the front office. There you go. Trust the front office. Agree. Kevin says, hell no on Darnold and Flacco. We need a mobile quarterback. That's the way of the league. I agree. It is the way of the league. You got to get somebody mobile, but not necessarily like somebody like Lamar Jackson, right? You got to have somebody that has some mobility to scale the pocket, not like Tom Brady last year who couldn't scale anything. No, you want to get somebody that has a little bit of mobility. So those options, Darnold, Flacco, Darnold more than Flacco. Flacco is, to me, is washed up. No legal liability. Kevin says Carter is a huge red flag. Jarvis, bring him. There you go. That's my question for the night. If you want to talk about quarterbacks or Jalen Carter, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I don't hear any phone calls. What's going on? You guys want to hear me just talk? Okay, I'll talk with you guys. That's cool. We'll do that. Christopher O'Reilly says same thing happened to Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask bong, but you haven't heard anything from him. Joe Mixon, another player, right? Baker Mayfield, another player off the field. There was all kinds of questions. Those players have turned it around. You haven't heard from them anymore. And I'm not saying you can't. Carter can definitely turn it around. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, you have to understand the situation. And you are 22 years old, but if you're in the biggest job interview of your life, what is the priority? Is the priority to be a starting defensive tackle for an NFL team and get paid millions of dollars? Because those guys don't grow on trees. Okay, they're a big factor against the pass rush and against the run. You want to be a multi-millionaire? Or you want to get in trouble and cause the chaos that happened, which is a tragedy. As long as Lightnarians are in the front office, I don't believe they won't draft anyone with possible or guaranteed red flags in their profiles. That's an astute point. Trask is going to be 35, still needs time to develop. Get the F out of here. He's not 35. I don't know what you're talking about.
This guy sucks.
Ray Kennedy, hello. Troy again. Hello, brother. Hope you found a new shelter and stay warm. It's cold in those streets.
Shut up!
Christopher, Trask has trouble learning the playbook, so Leftwich was fired. Bring in someone with a quarterback-friendly playbook, hence Canales. Fair point. And I'll also say that I didn't understand the firing at the time. I get it. The offense wasn't good. 18 points. You deserve to be fired. But then again, if you're going to go with Trask and give him the opportunity, why not keep the offensive coordinator for another year? Because he knows that system. Now he has to learn a totally different system. To that point, though, Canales hopefully will simplify that system going forward. Good stuff, Christopher. As always, Ray sounds great tonight. He does. Javon says, we're not rebuilding. We are retooling. I like that comment.
Oh, yeah.
Troy says, we pray you find a home, brother, so no longer have to jump restaurant to restaurant for a warm cup of food.
This guy sucks.
When will the players learn not to party prior? Google Lynn Bias kids. Wow, so stupid. Absolutely. And that was Cole himself on I Love St. Pete. Good stuff there, Cole. Appreciate it. You're exactly right. There's another example of it. And this goes all the way back. Like, it's not a new thing, but I never understood it, right? You have to make me understand it. You also have to make me understand, just getting off a topic, when it comes to like sports in general, musicians, like they're the most talented artists ever, but yet you see more of those guys dying of overdoses. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're so semi-talented, but they have these demons that they can't necessarily deal with. I never got that either. There's a lot of things I don't get, but this to me is pretty black and white, right? I mean, the excuse can be used. Yeah, he's young. Yeah, he's talented, so he's going to get off. That's not, a good thing to say at the end of the day, in my opinion. It's not. You're conditioning players when you do that. And maybe that's the reason why this type of stuff happens, because you have handlers and you have coaches that are able to look the other way. Aaron Hernandez always comes to mind for me for the Florida Gators. You saw the story on Netflix. You know what happened. And it could have been prevented if one of those coaches like an Urban Meyer sat up and said, maybe discipline that kid. Maybe you have to take some kid's livelihood away in order to wake them up. Maybe that kid has to hit rock bottom in order to turn it around. I'm just saying. All right. Wouldn't mind Geno Smith. All right, Eric. Hell no to JW. Okay, Jarvis. Thank you very much for the comment.
Yeah.
This guy to look as for the Bucs is a lock. Ray, you're making me sick with the Winston return talk. That's Cole again. Let's go out to Jarvis. Yes, if Carter drops to 19, okay. Christopher, if he messes up and then you get rid of him, then it would be a waste of a first-round pick. Absolutely. That's what you have to kind of put in context at the end of the day. And that's what I say when people go, well, general managers, you look the other way, right? I mean, Tony Dungy. This goes all the way back to when Dungy was coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there was a prospect like Randy Moss on the board, and you knew that Dungy wasn't going to touch him or draft him because he had problems off the field. Now, Moss was able to turn it around, didn't do anything off the field, became a Hall of Famer, right? Believe he's a Hall of Famer? I mean, he's a talented wide receiver. The Bucs could have had him. They didn't. They passed on him. I mean, there's incidents like that, but it has to be fit, right? We talked about the conversation with Derek Carr. It's not just about money. It may be about fit. Same thing with drafting a player in the first, second, third round, even a seventh round pick, even an undrafted free agent. It has to be how they fit with the team. Do they fit the team? Do they fit the scheme? Do they fit the coaching staff? Do they fit the locker room? Do they fit the community? Do they fit the idea that there's somebody that I'm going to build around? That's what it comes down to. That's why I'm so passionate about it. Don't forget they drafted Zion McCollum last year. Well, didn't forget that. Of course, he has to work on his tackling. He's definitely got lots of potential. Excuse me. Travis Faley, Carson. Is that Carson? Is that what you're saying? I guess it's what you're saying. And Kevin says, Peter, continue preaching the facts, sir. I don't want to come off as a preacher or somebody that's on my soapbox, but it seems so easy and simplistic at the same time. And I want you to think about it, that if you're in your daily life and you're not doing what you love to do, and you have an opportunity to do what you love to do, and the biggest interview of your life, then you're going to take it seriously. And that means maybe going to bed early. Maybe not hanging out with the guys. Maybe not going out. Maybe saving money. Maybe getting prepared for that interview mentally. I know I would be, because I know that I've done all kinds of things that I don't like in my life. This is the one thing I love to do. And if somebody's going to give me the opportunity to do it full time and pay me for it, what? Really? Then there's no issue. And the issue, I guess, it comes down to is, has this kid been conditioned? Are these athletes being conditioned? Celebrity privilege? I don't know. Wentz. Yes, Carson Wentz. Yes, full of potential. Let's go out to Roger Shoot. Players don't give a spit about the community, forced by the NFL to do stuff. But that is the point. They represent the shield. They represent the community. It has to play a factor. You can't just say, well, players don't give a stuff about community. How about Mike Evans? Mike Evans is a great example. One of the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time. Why? Because he's consistent on and off the field. He is a face of the community. The Bucs are proud to have him represent the Bucs as an organization. What are you talking about? All right, let's go out to my Tampa Bay Lightning insider, which, by the way, they were busy tonight. And, of course, around the NFL insider, Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thanks for taking the call, and I only got a couple of minutes, so
Sure.
I'll try to make it quick. I heard you guys were talking about gymnastics, so I figured I'd call in.
Well, yeah, mental gymnastics on this show, because some of these people that I have to deal with on a nightly basis, it seems like it's an every night thing, but it's only 2 nights. But yes, mental gymnastics tonight. And I continue to go back and forth on Jalen Carter, and I get it. He's talented. And if he were there at 19, I think the Bucs would definitely consider it, as any team would consider it, because the talent is overwhelming. But the problem I have with it, and the major red flag for me going forward, is why would this young man, and I get he's 22 years old, coming off a national championship, why would he put himself in this situation to cost him the biggest job opportunity in his life?
Immaturity, Pete. That's about it. You know, you got to have like you said earlier, you really have to have I guess more of a stable core, and people make mistakes, man. It's just like a couple of your callers and your commenters said earlier. You know, sometimes you feel like I won't say the word above the law, but let's say
Invincible.
holier than thou.
Yeah.
Holier than thou. I mean, I wasn't a football player at Alabama, and I was drag racing on Ulmerton, and I was 25 years old, and I had a few pops. So that was my mistake at 25, drag racing, getting caught. But people make mistakes. It doesn't matter what their status is in life. You know, it happens, Pete.
Yeah,
You
it does.
know,
It does happen. Are you? And let me ask you this, because I know you're a Chicago Bears fan and you're excited about the prospect of having Justin Fields as your starting quarterback, because we talked about that the other night. There's no way you're going to trade him. But what you're excited about is this run of quarterback market, and the more precious that pick becomes, because I think you can trade a couple spots down. Somebody trades for a quarterback, and then once again, there's another quarterback on the board, and maybe somebody wants to trade up again. So you have an opportunity to get a plethora, Leo word, of picks in this draft. But let's say Carter does fall. Would you be inclined, or would you be concerned, if you will, if the Bears did draft him?
You know, Pete, I'm hoping to actually be able to go out in free agency and get some of the defensive guys that we're going to need. You know, I'm hoping also to even possibly go down to 7 with the Raiders, or Carolina at 9. I doubt that's going to happen, but I wouldn't mind getting, you know, Skoronski, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, or
Yes,
or
think so,
you know,
yes.
the offensive lineman. You know, we need a tackle. We need a tackle on that line, you know, bigger than anything. But the thing is, you know, people also look at the Bears, and you look at the offensive line, and you saw how many sacks that Fields took, and you saw some of the bad decision making. Now, you know, they want to give him a pass because of, you know, the blame the offensive line, but the offensive line was ranked 14th by PFF.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a big difference from, let's say, the New York Giants, which I believe were ranked 32nd in PFF. And look what they did when they turned it around and when they went out and got Dable. So the proof is going to be in the pudding this year to see if Fields makes the jump. There were many times in the offseason and during the season, and I've talked about this previously, where he had the opportunity to throw the ball away or to do some different things and have guys that are running wide open, and he just missed them. So the maturity and the step up is going to have to be there in year 3, year 2 in this system. And if it doesn't work, then they're going to move off him and see what hopefully get, you know, a draft cachet that they're able to maneuver into next year to possibly move up for Williams or the other quarterback that's an AA plus quarterback. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm liking what Poles is going to do. I don't think he's going to put all of his cards on the table, but if they can move back once or twice, I think it'll be good for the franchise. And, you know, Carter, yeah, does Carter scare me? But I don't think Carter is the number one be all, dead on balls, got to take him, or Anderson. To me, I always thought that they were going to go after Anderson before they went after Carter anyways, because they're going to address the interior defensive line in free agency. Even though Payne got tagged, I think there are a couple other guys that they can move into that spot that they're going to look at. They also like Murphy, and they also like Wilson as far as the other 2 defensive ends. You might see them on the Bears if they drop down once again, down to 7 or down to 9. But you know how it is. I know how it is. That offensive line has been bad in my opinion, and had left Fields out to dry numerous times. And it wasn't just on Fields; it was also on the line.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, and it comes down to Fields for me, and we talk about this tonight with Tim Tebow, and I'm not comparing them, but you got to throw from the pocket consistently. And I kind of look at Jalen Hurts last year, right? 16-9. And now this year, an MVP type of candidate. That's what you would hope for with Fields. And I think it also comes down to not only teaching him, learning that offense. He'll have a second year in that offensive scheme, but also an improved offensive line. Running game, I think, is interesting because Montgomery is a free agent. They could go after Jacobs, somebody like that. Let me ask you something. Go ahead.
They're not going to go after. They're probably just going to stick with Khalil Herbert if they don't re-sign Montgomery to a team-friendly deal. I think Montgomery wants to be there, but I don't know if he's a great player for us. He's given it all for this Bears team, but I'm not exactly sure, like Harry the Greek says, that he's a fit for this offense and the kind of scheme that they want to run as far as the offensive line is concerned. So, Pete, it's all smoke and mirrors questions. I'm interested to see one where Rodgers is going to end up going. I don't know if he's going to stay in Green Bay. I think he should stay in Green Bay. I'm not sure if he's going to or not.
I don't know if Green Bay wants him back, because for me, you draft a guy like Jordan Love as a number one pick, and you're trying to figure out, and he's got some starts and he's shown some flashes of brilliance. Is he going to be Aaron Rodgers right away? Of course not. But you've got to see what you have. And enough of, will I stay or will I go if I'm Aaron Rodgers? Go at this point. Trade him to an AFC team. Trade him to the New York Jets if they want him. Trade him to the Raiders. Trade him to Tennessee, possibly going there. That may be a fit. I'm not trading him to the NFC, but I would definitely trade him to the AFC. But if I'm the Packers, I would definitely do it, because next year he's a free agent, and basically you're not going to get anything for him. And that's what doesn't make any sense to me, right? The Packers, they paid him like $60 million, and that's the reason why we go back to the Packers, because of that $60 million. But basically, you handicapped yourself because you lost to Devontae Adams, you lost some players in the long run, and you also lost out on the opportunity to see Love in his development.
Oh, I think they want to go with Love at this point too, Pete. I think they want to move off Aaron and see what they can get for him, because they need it for the future, But the thing is, and I'll stop with this Packers talk after this. Who else is going to compete in the NFC? The AFC is the biggest crapshoot out there, obviously, with the Super Bowl championing being not head and shoulders, but at least a head above the rest.
Sure.
With a lot of other teams coming up on the rise or that are already there. So if you're Rodgers, why would you want to go to a stacked and packed AFC? Why wouldn't you want to stay and give it one more run in Green Bay? If I was Rodgers, that's what I would do. I wouldn't want to go to the Jets. I wouldn't want to go to, let's just say Carolina or the Raiders, just a matchup with Devontae Adams, so you can have a cutthroat battle for the AFC West, where you're still looking at the Chiefs as the number one, but then you also got an upswing in, with a new OC and Kellen Moore and the LA Chargers, and then you also got Denver that's going to be on the up with a new coaching system, and Sean Payton's not going to put up with a bunch of flack and garbage from Russell Wilson, and he already said he's not going to do that. So you're looking at Denver going to be a better team, next season. So why would you want to be, a third or fourth sister in that division? If you're Aaron Rodgers, when you're on the last tail end of your career, you want to go and compete and play and try to win another Super Bowl to solidify your legacy.
Absolutely. We're on with Travis Faley, around the NFL correspondent of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web on a happy
Hump Day
edition right there. Let's talk about quarterbacks. The Miami Dolphins and their coach McDaniel non-committal when it comes to Tua and his fifth-year option. What do you make of that situation? And I'll tell you right now, it's been talked about, and some scuttlebutt, of course, from Mike Florio, a Pro Football Talk, who continues to say that Brady is going to come out of retirement and possibly go to the San Francisco 49ers or the Miami Dolphins. What do you say?
It could happen. It could. Who knows with Brady? But I mean, if he was to do that, how much egg would be on that guy's face? I think at this point, reputation is very important to Brady. He's not going to. I don't think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to take his whatever it is, his
$375 million contract. By the way, he didn't drink before he went on that job interview. So
do I want to keep getting smashed and at least have some of my or have some mental acuity, still left in me, and go sit on TV and take Greg Olson's job, which is unbelievable to me that he's going to. But Greg Olson's in the catbird seat, because once he's out of that contract, he will be the number one color analyst in all of
for CBS football. Once Tony Romo gets fired, because they've had enough of his nonsense. There was a rumor out there that he was gone to an intervention because he's not doing his homework like he should. And they're getting tired of it.
Is that the Inquisition? The Inquisition?
It's an intervention.
I'm showing my age there, bringing up. And showing one my age, bringing up one of the funniest movies of all time, History of the World Part 1 by Mel Brooks.
Very nice.
If you haven't seen it, get out there and watch it.
Well, I
right
watch
now,
Spaceballs.
After the show, search it. History of the World Part 1, Mel Brooks. Get it on the TV.
Well, I always think
now.
of Mel Brooks with Spaceballs. I mean, come on. I mean, the power of the Schwartz. I love it.
Shocker, you go to the Schwartz comment. You're the best. You're the best. Hey, let me just ask, and I'll finalize this with you.
Yes.
We've gone round and round a little bit.
Sure.
If Derek Carr was the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, would you have, or even Geno Smith, would you have an issue with either one of those two options? And who are you leaning? I'm putting you on the spot right now. Who do you want as the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start off the season?
Derek Carr, beyond a shadow of a doubt, 63 and 79. He's never had the fortune of having a defense. I think Todd Bowles can give him that. Furthermore, you can have a running game here. You have a quarterback-friendly system and Dave Canales, who basically did wonders last year with the Geno Smith. So I think it's a win-win proposition. At the end of the day, who doesn't want to live in Tampa Bay? So for me, it's Carr and then everybody else.
And it's interesting because I also believe that. I think, having seven different offensive coordinators.
6 different offensive coordinators in the last 9 years. I mean, and we know how detrimental that is to a young quarterback. Ask Alex Smith and Jason Campbell, guys like that.
But I also, I watched Carr a lot with that Raiders team because, exciting team. And sometimes he has it and sometimes he doesn't. And that's what makes him sort of I wouldn't call him a straight middle of the road quarterback, but, I don't know how close he is to top 10. I don't know how close. He's probably closer to top 15 than top 10. But if you look at the other options, I mean, you guys were talking bringing in Teddy Bridgewater and all these other, the lower, 20 to 30 level
Jacoby
quarterbacks.
Brissett and Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz. And
hey, listen, Baker Mayfield with those wide receivers, hey, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. You really, and I'm buying into it. I'm warming up to the idea. I warm up to the idea of Carson Wentz. I don't know what's happened to this kid because what was he, the second overall pick in the draft? He had all this potential. He was having an MVP type of year. He gets hurt, and of course, Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl. And then ever since then, it's kind of been a free fall for Wentz. I can't even say it. Yeah, it's been a long night.
Yeah, that was basically just patronizing you a little bit with the whole Carson Wentz thing.
Wentz, no. I mean, and I have my doubts about all these quarterbacks.
He's going to land somewhere.
He's going to land somewhere. It may land with the Miami Dolphins. Who knows? I mean, I'm just kind of looking at that situation. Tua's putting his body out there in the line, and they can't even say, hey, he's going to be our starting quarterback going forward. Oh, really? What was he? You passed up on Justin Herbert. You
need marbles, right? That's what Tua's nickname is now, marbles. Yeah, because his brain is scrambled. You can't. Pete, if you're the Dolphins, you got to look at it. Are you going to pay Tua $40 million to be on the field for maybe the last time at any given snap? And I know you can say that for about any quarterback, but look at the guy's history so far.
Scary.
Arguably, for sure 2 concussions, but probably 3. How many has he had in college that nobody actually were diagnosed or reported on? So it's only going to take one more hit on this guy and he could be done. So are you really going to give this guy $40 million for 5 to 6 years and really smash your cap? Or are you going to go out there and possibly get one more time? We'll throw this out there again. Aaron Rodgers to come down to Miami to throw to Tyreek Hill and all those guys they got in Miami.
Wow.
Now that's a more viable option for me if I was Rodgers to go down to Miami than to go to, let's say, the Jets. Yeah, the Jets got a good defense and, some viable offensive weapons. But to me, Miami is more of the situation that I would look at if I was Rodgers over that, or even Derek Carr for that matter, if they're not going to bring Tua back, or at least sign him to 5 or to the 5th-year option, or possibly move him. But who's going to take him right now? What are you going to get? A second or third round pick for Tua, who was the 6th? What was he, his 5th or 6th pick in the draft?
I believe he's a fifth pick overall.
Because Herbert
was 6th, and that's where your comparison is, right? I'll throw another name out for you for the Bucs really quick. Marcus Mariota. Somebody said this today. He'd be a perfect fit for the Bucs, and I'm like, where? Where is he a perfect fit? Where is he a perfect fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He quit on the Atlanta Falcons, the friggin' Atlanta Falcons. Let me get this straight. He quit on the Atlanta Falcons. You want to bring that guy in the locker room to teach Kyle Trask something after he quit on the Falcons? Nah, I'm good with that.
Let me tell you.
I'm good.
At this point, if Kyle Trask hasn't learned enough on how to play football and quarterback in football from Tom Brady and the people that he's been around, then he's just never going to get it. So that opportunity, you give him the opportunity to win the starting job, but if you do bring in a Derek Carr, you bring in a top, not a top flight, but once again, under the top 15 quarterback, Kyle Trask is never going to see the field again if the guy stays healthy.
What do you make of the Lamar Jackson situation? I mean, it certainly seems like there could be a trade there in the offing. They're going to franchise him, but he wants guaranteed money. And I almost feel like Jackson, being the way he is, because he's all about his business, he may not play this season. So do you think the Ravens are contemplating possibly franchising him and then trading him for a couple picks and trying to save face?
I'll take some heat for this. I know I do, because you know how I like to do hot takes. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the most overrated quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game.
Okay.
If he didn't have his feet, and yes, he's gotten a little bit better as a pocket quarterback, but if you watch how he performs, especially this year and even some last year in the fourth quarter, he is a bad quarterback when push comes to shove. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. As far as a pocket passer and as far as a quarterback, if they have that system set up, yes, for him, running for him and the backs in the backfield, okay? That system works for them. That's going to be the big problem is if the Ravens don't bring in a comparable quarterback, if Jackson does decide not to come in underneath the tag, they need to find somebody that can come in and play that system once again, like a Teddy Bridgewater or a Jacoby Brissett or something like that, or even maybe a little bit of a Geno Smith. But Geno Smith's going to sign with somebody that he knows he's going to play, but they might move off Jackson. He's putting the screws to the Ravens.
Yep.
But the Ravens don't want to pay this guy $50 million because he can't stay healthy. And who knows if he did actually quit on the team at the end of the season because he wants the bag.
I think he does. I think he definitely quit on this team.
Term.
Right.
It's funny how that term, the bag, has come into the forefront over the last couple of years.
It's all about the bag. Yeah, it's all about the bag for Lamar Jackson.
Or who it was.
And listen, I understand him wanting more than Deshaun Watson. He deserves more than Deshaun Watson because he has won an MVP. He has taken the Ravens to the playoffs and won a game there. So he deserves more than Watson, but that contract was asinine in the first place. But that's how the market works at the end of the day.
But give him $40 million then.
Yeah,
give him what Dak Prescott has.
Right.
What has Jackson done that Dak Prescott hasn't done?
Well, he's won a playoff game. So is Prescott this year against the Bucs, and he's also been an MVP of the league. So I definitely think that counts. We're talking about that. What do you make of these young quarterbacks? Bryce Young seen holding a Buccaneer bag, but a lot of people are talking about the man's size, 5'10". Questions there. You got C.J. Stroud, Will Levi. The real boom and bust guy at this point is Anthony Richardson, 6'4".
Will Levitt?
Levitt? That was Levi.
Levitt.
What's Levi?
No, it's Levitt. I don't know. Anyway,
it's Levi. It's not Levitt. It's not Jim Levitt. It's Will Levi because I checked. I checked it out. It's Will Levi. I had to check because I was saying the name wrong, and I'm not going to do that anymore.
The planet's been calling this guy the wrong name.
I'm telling you, I Googled it and it said Will Levi. I'll tell you what, we're going to do a little experiment right now on the sports web.
Are you sure it wasn't the Onion that you looked at, not Google?
Will you shut up and be quiet? Will Levi.
Well, then maybe I'm wrong, but that's very rare, Pete. Very rare. I might have to give you $1 for every time I'm rare. So how many dollars you got?
Well, one. Well, I tell you right now, it's not coming up here. I don't even know if it'll come up. I mean, it's coming. Google, it's coming. Pete. No, it's coming up. But because you're on the phone, it's not doing the voice chat thing. So that's
all I know is this shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Yes, shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Another great line from a great movie.
No, it's like you said, next year's draft is going to be better for quarterback, but I'm hoping that C.J. Stroud and I hope those guys just blow it out of the park at the combine, and they look like they're the next coming of. I hope Richardson blows it up because that just makes the market for quarterbacks even better, and that's what the Bears don't need, or at least
no, that's what
year.
they do need. That's exactly what they need because as I explained this the other night, I'm going to put this on Facebook as a reel, but I put 59 seconds of my greatness here on the sports web about Justin Fields and the Bears doing their quarterback due diligence. They want as many quarterbacks to have high stock because they can make those trades to get those multiple picks and get that multiple capital to help that future franchise quarterback out in Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears in 2023. With all that cap space, man, $98 million. I'm jealous, man, but it's going to be a good year for you guys. Real interesting. Good stuff, Travis Freely. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the sports web.
Well, I just want to comment. You asked me a question a minute ago, and let me just finish up with that. You asked me about Richardson, right?
Yeah, Richardson.
I think this guy could have the tools, but I watched him live against USF.
We did.
I watched him live at playing against a bad,
atrocious
USF.
I think that's probably a better word. Atrocious Leo word.
They played their hearts out on that field in Gainesville, and they could have won that game. They were right there. It was a bad snap on third down. It turned it into 4th and 1,000, and USF couldn't pull off the monster upset at the Swamp. But Richardson wasn't special that day at all.
No.
And that, to me, when you're playing against a club, and granted, everybody good players stub their toes against, bad teams at times. But Richardson had it all right in front of him in that game, and there was no reason that he shouldn't have put up 5 touchdowns in that game and just blew it up like other clubs did against, once again, an atrocious USF defense last year. And the only thing that kept them in games was, that solid running game with Battie and some great performances by the quarterback. But, and that's the big problem that USF is going to continue to have. Just wait until Alabama comes here.
Oh my God. I'm hoping
that line is going to be 45 points.
At least. And you hope USF will actually be competitive with their new coaching staff and Alex Golish there. With that being said, let's switch gears here. Easy for me to say with the Tampa Bay Lightning making some trades here lately. I mean, what do you make of it? It seems like Brisebois is going for the cup once again.
Well, you have to. The big problem is, a team up in the Northeast just made a monster deal, and they didn't give up much. Potential number one, if they go to the ECF or if they go to the Cup, then they pay
Rangers
the Blackhawks
and Kane.
for,
Jeez, wow.
Yeah, they give the Blackhawks a 1, but what is that 1? That 1's going to be, a super late pick in the draft, or even a 2 is going to be a late pick. But Kane put the fire to him. He said he didn't want to go anywhere else basically in the league. And after some of his line mates were traded, he just told the Hawks, "Hey, this is where I'm going. I'm not going anywhere else. If you want to keep me, keep me. If you want to trade me, trade me." But the Rangers had him in the catbird seat, and they knew that Kane only wanted him to go right there. So I really see, with them getting Kane and Tarasenkoff, with the rest of that team, man, they're going to be tough to beat, at least in the Eastern Conference. I mean,
they were tough to beat last year. They were a young team. They had the Lightning on the ropes there with the 2-0 lead. So for me, I mean, they remind me of a young Lightning team, and that scares the hell out of me because it's almost like looking at a reflection, if you will. You see all the young talent and all their lines. They're very deep, and plus they have a goaltender that's going to basically keep them in every game that you have, whether you're having an off night offensively or not. So the Rangers are a scary team.
Absolutely. And then you look at, the East is pretty deep if you look at it, obviously with the season that Boston is having right now. I mean, they are on pace, I think, for 136 points.
Crazy.
I mean, that's unheard of. It's unbelievable what they're doing. So, the East is going to be a dogfight, and I'm not sure if the Lightning have what it takes at this point in the season to be able to go up against a Boston or a Rangers team at this time. They're just not 100% there. But they made that deal, and we'll see what he brings. I was surprised they brought in another winger. I thought they might have went, especially getting rid of Foote, and I thought they were going to bring in more defensive help. But it's going to be interesting, Pete. What this team does during the trade deadline is usually gold. It's happened with Hagel. And look what they gave up 2 1s for Hagel, but the proof was in the pudding with that guy. He just needed time to get acclimated to the system and to his line mates, because when he was playing last year with Patrick Kane, he put up career numbers, and then it took a little bit to once again to get used to what was going on here in Tampa. But he's been a monster this year for this team. They just need some more scoring from other guys to take some pressure off the top 2 lines. So we'll see how it goes. We'll definitely get more into Lightning hockey as the season progresses, and especially when playoff time comes around. But you really want to try to get that 2, so you don't have to go up again. You're going to run into Boston any which way.
Yeah.
And, we hate the Rat. We hate Marchand, man.
Hate Florida, hate the Rat in Boston, and you definitely hate the Rangers.
Listen, I'll take play against Florida any day of the week. And if I got to go up against Boston and have to deal with Marchand and all those guys up there, man, that is just
face-licking
awful.
Weirdo right there. That's a face-licking weirdo. Really is.
Man, he is. They don't call him the Rat for nothing, but that guy's a great player. I take him on my team all day, every day. And with that, Peter Blake in the sports web, I've taken way too much of your time.
Not at all.
Your callers and your commenters. So I'll let you get back out to the fans in the stands, and it's always a pleasure being on the show, and thank you for having me. And I hope I was able to provide a little hot knowledge. All right.
Good stuff.
Hey, and you know why I let off with the gymnastics things, Pete, is because we were out there covering and shooting the largest gymnastics event in the world at Tropicana Field over the weekend. And you want to talk about athletes, Pete. Those people out there are athletes. Unbelievable, incredible. The things that those girls and guys do, especially the girls on the balance beam. That thing is 4 inches wide.
Amazing.
I'd like to see you or any of your.
I'm
your
so
fans
uncoordinated.
Or commenters try to get on that thing and do a handstand. Give me a break.
Roger can't even get off the couch. I mean, Roger's a couch potato right there. He can't get off the couch.
Well, even when I was an Olympic athlete back in my day, I'd be able to do a handstand on that 4-inch wooden beam. My wife married me because I was an Olympic athlete. I was inspiring. Every night I would tell her about my dreams of how I used to compete in Taiwan and all the other foreign countries. You guys are the best.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Of course, my Around the NFL insider, and of course, Tampa Bay Lightning insider. Great stuff from him. Roger, I know you're trying to call in, so go ahead and call in if you want to before we get off. Okay, I changed my mind. Don't pick him at 19 if he drops. I like Mayfield for the vet quarterback to compete with Trask. And Jarvis, if you felt like Carter at 19, that's fine. I'm just trying to give you something to think about. But great comments.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, continue, guys, to tune in. Give to YouTube chats. Give to Facebook stars here. Give to the effort. And, of course, don't be shy if you want to call the phone line. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 409-7528. Ask him about the Patrick Kane trade. We did in Rays news because we covered them also. Tyler Glasnow is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique injury. Not a good start to the season, but the Rays have plenty of pitching. We shall see how that all works out. Thanks to all of our guests tonight. Mr. J.C. Allen of Pewter Report giving us the Bucs lowdown. Of course, Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, and of course, all the comments. As always, we will be setting up a Patreon. Absolutely, Roger. Thank you very much for everything, being the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
And of course, the moderator of this show. Once again, like and follow I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports, and like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube. Do 3 things for me here on this happy
Hump Day
edition, as I'm still fired up. Bring the passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And Bucs fans and fans of the sports web, it's your time. Have a great night.